Good evening. I'm still uploading. I did finish eating, charging my camcorder. Cheers. It's soon 8 p.m. It's Saturday evening. But I like to read this finish. This precision strike missiles. I'm going to read this one now. This one and this one, then stop for today. It's 8 p.m. Then I will go to bed, watch Star Trek on Netflix. Oops. Yes, I'm tired. So everything is dropping on the floor.
ATACMS. The MGM-140 Army Tactical Missile System, ATACMS, pronounced /T Latin letter ATACMS /, is a supersonic tactical ballistic missile designed and manufactured by the U.S. defense company Ltd, Ltd, and later Lockheed Martin through acquisitions. It uses solid propellant and is 13 feet, 4.0 m, long and 24 inches, 610 millimeters, in diameter, and the longest range variants can fly up to 190 miles, 300 kilometers. The missiles can be fired from the tracked M270 Multiple Launch Rocket System, MLRS, and the wheeled M142 High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, IMARS. An ATACMS launch container, pod, has one rocket but a lid patterned with 6 circles like a standard MLRS rocket lid to prevent an enemy from discerning what type of missile is loaded. History. Pre-development. The concept of a conventional tactical ballistic missile was made possible by the doctrinal shift of the late Cold War, which rejected the indispensability of an early nuclear strike on the Warsaw Pact forces in the event the Cold War went hot. The air-land battle and follow-on forces attack doctrines, which emerged in the late 1970s and early 1980s, necessitated a conventional armed, hence much more accurate, missile to strike enemy reserves, so the United States Army Aviation and Missile Command sponsored the Simplified Inertial Guidance Demonstrator, Signal-D, program. Within this program, Ltd developed a solid-fuel analog of the MGM-52 Lance missile, designated T-22, with a new RLG-based inertial guidance package, which demonstrated unprecedented accuracy. In 1978, DARPA started the Assault Breaker Technology Demonstration Program to attack armor formations with many mobile hard targets at standoff ranges. It used the T-22 missile and the Patriot-based Martin Marietta T-16 missile with cluster warheads. Development of the missile now known as ATACMS started in 1980, when the U.S. Army decided to replace the Lance with a similar nuclear, but also chemical or biological, tipped solid-fuel missile dubbed the Core Support Weapon System, CSWS. Concerned that two branches were developing too many similar missiles with different warheads, the Department of Defense merged the program with DARPA's Assault Breaker in 1981, and with United States Air Force, USAF's Conventional Standoff Weapon, CSW, in 1982-1983. The new missile system, Designated Joint Tactical Missile System, ATACMS, soon encountered USAF resistance to the idea of an air-launched ballistic missile. As a result, in 1984 the USAF ended its participation in the non-cruise missile portion of the program, leading to the missile being redesignated as the Army Tactical Missile System, ATACMS. Production. In March 1986, Lintemco won the contract for the missile design. The system was assigned the MGM-140 designation. The first test launch came 2 years later, thanks to earlier experience of the company with previous programs. In 2007, the U.S. Army terminated the ATACMS program due to cost, ending the ability to replenish stocks. To sustain the remaining inventory, the ATACMS Service Life Extension Program, SLIP, was launched, which refurbishes or replaces propulsion and navigation systems, replaces cluster munition warheads with the unitary blast fragmentation warhead, and adds a proximity fuse option to obtain area effects. Deliveries were projected to start in 2018. The ATACMS SLIP is a bridging initiative to provide time to complete analysis and development of a successor capability to the aging ATACMS stockpile, which could be ready around 2022. The National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2023 authorized the production and procurement of up to 1,700 additional ATACMS, but this was not funded by the 2023 Defense Appropriations Act. Stockpile upgrades. In January 2015, Lockheed Martin received a contract to develop and test new hardware for Block I ATACMS missiles to eliminate the risk of unexploded ordnance by 2016. The first modernized tactical missile system, ATACMS, was delivered in September 2016 with updated guidance electronics and added capability to defeat area targets using a unitary warhead, without leaving behind unexploded ordnance. Lockheed was awarded a production contract for launch assemblies as part of the SLIP in August 2017. In 2021, Lockheed Martin was contracted to upgrade existing M39 munitions to the M57 variant with a WDU-18-B warhead from the Harpoon missile by 2024. A plan announced in October 2016 to add an existing seeker to enable the ATACMS to strike moving targets on land and at sea was terminated in December 2020 to pursue other missile efforts. Replacement. Starting in 2016, in view of some lagging in the world arms race, where ATACMS had become outdated, long-range precision fires, LRPF, began to be developed, which was later renamed Precision Strike Missile, PRSM, with the idea of replacing ATACMS missiles with the Increment 1 phase version of PRSM. That exact replacement began to fill the U.S. Army in late 2023. Versions 1M39, Block I/Block 1, MGM-140, initially, or MGM-140A, later, missile with inertial guidance. It carries 950 M74 anti-personnel and anti-material, APAM, bomblets, each about the size of a baseball and weighing 1.3 pound, 0.59 kilograms, which are dispersed across a circular area approximately 677 feet, 206 m, in diameter, covering 360,000 square feet, 33,000 m, in total and effective against parked aircraft, ammunition dumps, air defense systems, and gatherings of personnel, but not against armored vehicles. The size of the affected area can be changed by modifying the height at which the payload is released. Range of Block I is 25,165 km, 15 to 100 mi. The M74 has a reported failure rate of 2%, or 19 for each M39 missile fired. Video is available of a U.S. Army test of the M39 at a mock airfield. 1 ATACMS, a Navy version of Army Tactical System, a ship-launched ATACMS variant for the U.S. Navy, was under development at 1990s and even twice was tested at the early 1995, first from the ground at the White Sands Missile Range and the second from the flight deck of USS Mount Vernon, LSD-39, using a modified Army M270 tracked vehicle at a target 75 nautical miles, 86 mi, distant on San Clemente Island off Southern California. Last testing missile carried 730 Mk-74, probably meaning M74 munition, submunitions, and achieved a scatter pattern bracketing the target vehicle, including 3 direct hits, located at the aim point. Despite all test objectives were met or even exceeded, development has later been cancelled by unknown reasons. Same way that missiles any other designation information is also unknown. 2M39A1, Block IA/Block 1AM, MGM-140B, missile with GPS-aided guidance. It carries 300 M74 bomblets. There were 610 produced between 1997 and 2003. During Operation Iraqi Freedom, 74 were fired at Iraqi targets. The remaining ones are being updated to M57E1 missiles. The M39A1 and later variants can only be used with the M270A1, or variants thereof, and M142 launchers. Range, 2,300 kilometers, 12,186 mi. 1 ATACMS, a sea-launched ATACMS variant of the Army Block IA missile for undersea operations, intended for a fire support from the sea, with the maximum launch depth limit of 175 feet, 150 feet recommended, taking in view potential drag coefficient of 0.2, identical warhead, 300 M74 fragmentation grenades, same diameter of 23.9 and only dimensional changes of length from 156.5 to 199.0, 4 fins to be folded within a smaller envelope, and the addition of fin module, which had to be jettisoned after broach and before missile motor ignition, resulting in a flight missile length of 170.13. Behind the bow tile for stability during underwater flight, to fit primarily within the most advanced 688I. Footed /Flight 3, design of Los Angeles-class submarine vertical launching system, VLS, capsules, having 12 of such ones on board. Its history began when U.S. then Strategic System Program Office authorized a study in June 1995 to evaluate undersea cold launch capability of MGM-140 from above-mentioned submarine in view of that missile great operational history. However, on the hearings on National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 1997 held on March 1996, become known that US then planned to use not only APAM but also a BAT, brilliant anti-tank, munitions payload, and when Lockheed Martin presented ATACMS press release at August 1996, there was already described modern Block IA, which is MGM-140B, missile as a base modification specimen for the ATACMS. Choosing a submarine VLS as the appropriate launcher, that was designed by default for Tomahawk missile, which have X-15 length of ATACMS, exclusively, had led to creating a unique combined missile and launch capsule as an all-up-around, AUR, or ATACMS AUR, which with ATACMS inside clearly fits the submarine's Tomahawk-designed VLS. While testing of ATACMS AUR assembly became obvious, a great weapon-induced, near-miss, shock, meaning shock motions, displacement, experienced by any part of weapon itself or its assembly, however still affected no any part of ATACMS itself. At the stage of Block IA ATACMS this problem was already fixed inside the missile, but missile itself inside the ATACMS AUR assembly that after long and painstaking study resulted in missile control section structure extension to accommodate the new control surfaces and blast tube. That way control section structure length increased by about 13.6 for a total length of 26.07 and the exterior angle altering to 6 degrees, which allow space for the fins to fold within the capsule envelope and some number of valuable upgrades not affecting the missile size. On December 9, 1996 there was an expert opinion about using different weapons while sea-to-ground landing, including ATACMS with APAM to suppress infantry as it is clearly effective vs such only target, but totally ineffective vs spread ones because of its cost therefore cannot complete that task with extended range 5-inch guns. However ATACMS filled with BAT munition can effectively prevent armored vehicles engaging a landing force. Despite idea of ATACMS was heavily popularized already at the early 1995 there's no any information available about further development or production or ever operation from submarine. There is no reasons to think Tomahawk missile pushed out ATACMS from the race as that was believed to complement the Tomahawk features by providing a short time at flight, easily and quickly targeted and being supersonic ballistic missile that was incredibly difficult to intercept. In contrast, despite no detailed public information available from the time of its development beginning, at the year 1999 Navy still planned to provide, employ, subs in their Land Attack Standard Missile, LASM, program, that was closed at the year 2003, with ATACMS unitary warhead modifications, including twice lowering the warhead content weight to 250 pound, 110 kilograms, which is equal to much newer ATACMS specimen modification, an MGM-1680, and a half of its warhead load, that had to make possible to lower length to 2/3 of ATACMS missile and somehow fill every Tomahawk-designed submarine VLS tube with 3 of such a tactical ballistic missiles that way being triple stacked, and, that way, each i.e. modern SSGN Ohio-class submarine. Having 22 tubes for 7 Tomahawks each, 154 total, could carry up to 462 such TBMs. At the year 2003, after LASM program was closed, Lockheed Martin proposed to use a combination of UAVs with, in fact, ATACMS technology for converting of 4 excessive and oldest Ohio-class submarines from SSBNs to SSGN multi-role platforms to conduct a variety of land attack missions. Despite such a contrary information telling ATACMS development still slowly continues, as of August 2024 no any further information nor about program closure nor development continuation publicly available. 2M48, Block I/Block 1 unitary, initially, Block 4/Block 4, later, Quick Reaction Unitary, QRU, MGM-140E, initially, or MGM-1680, is a variant of MGM-140B ATACMS Block IA, a high explosive, HE, single-stage, solid propellant, SP, inertial navigation system, INS, /GPS guided, missile containing the Quick Reaction Unitary, QRU, warhead, missile with GPS-aided guidance. It carries the 500-pound, 230 kilograms, WDU-18/B penetrating high-explosive blast fragmentation warhead of the U.S. Navy's Harpoon anti-ship missile, which was packaged into the newly designed WAU-23/B warhead section. There were 176 produced between 2001 and 2004. When production ceased in favor of the M57. Operational since 2002. During Operation Iraqi Freedom, 16 were fired at Iraqi targets and a further 42 were fired during Operation Enduring Freedom. The remaining ones are in the U.S. Army and U.S. Marine Corps arsenal. Range, 7,300 km, 43,186 mi. 3M57, Block IA / Block 1AM Quick Reaction Unitary, initially, Block EVA / Block 4AM, later, ATACMS 2000 or T2K or MGM-140E, initially, or MGM-1680, later, is, in fact, same missile as M48, so then having exactly the same designation, with reduced production costs up to $100,000 per missile with use of so-called ATACMS 2000 program. M39 a one-based upgraded missile with GPS-aided guidance. It carries the same WAU-23/B warhead section as the M48. There were 513 produced between 2004 and 2013. Accuracy is 9 m, 30 feet, sec, circular error probable. Range, 7,300 km, 43,186 mi. 4M57E1, ATACMS mod or mod, modification, modified, or MGM-140E, initially, or MGM-1680, later, is, in fact, same missile as M48, so then having exactly the same designation, with only difference it was not produced from scratch but refurbishing, modifying, obsolete M39 and M39A1 missiles missile with GPS-aided guidance. M57E1 is the designation for upgraded M39 and M39A1 with regrained motor, updated navigation and guidance software and hardware, and a WAU-23/B warhead section instead of the M74 bomblets. This variant includes a proximity sensor for airburst detonation. Production commenced in 2017 with an initial order for 220. 3M39A2, Block 2 / Block 2, MGM-140C, initially, or MGM-164 / MGM-164, later, high explosive, HE, single stage, solid propellant, SP, carrier, inertial navigation system, INS, / GPS guided missile used to dispense brilliant anti-armor technology, BAT, submunitions. Has the same INS / GPS guidance system as the MGM-140B but carried 13x BAT submunitions in the enlarged warhead section. The MGM-164 is a designation of the same MGM-140C but produced after applying by Lockheed Martin ATACMS 2000, or ATACMS Block 2 program regarding Block 2 missiles, program that believed to crucially lower the production cost of each missile by $100,000, but not at the expense of BAT munitions. 1. The MGM-140D, initially, or MGM-164B, later, Block IA / Block 2AM, that was firstly believed to be some sort of upgrade of the MGM-140B ATACMS Block IA missile with numerous structural improvements. Subsequently become known as same way improved version of exactly MGM-140C, Block 2, with same BAT ordnance, but long-ranged. BAT programs, MGM-140C and MGM-140D, was cancelled totally at 2003. 4M39A3, P, Penetrator, Block 3 / Block 3, 220 km ranged high explosive, HE, 120 kg warhead, single stage, solid propellant, SP, inertial navigation system, INS, / GPS guided, missile used to deliver a maneuverable re-entry vehicle, MAV, and penetrator warhead, which is MGM-140B Block 1A, M39A1, missile with a Mk4 maneuverable re-entry vehicle, MAV, as used in the UGM-96 Trident C4 strategic missile system. It was developed with a program starting at 2001 but terminated in 2004 after the first prototype was tested, after which it never went into production for unknown reasons. 2MGM-140F is believed to be the last known designation of some of new ATACMS variant or upgrade while ATACMS in production, up to 2007, that had place in January 2003, but no more detailed information was ever revealed. Comparison. This section has multiple issues. Please help improve it or discuss these issues on the talk page. Learn how and when to remove these messages. This section does not cite any sources. August 2024. This section needs to be updated. August 2024. Specifications. M39 Block I, M39A1 Block I, M48 QRU, M57 Block IA unitary. Mass 1,667 kilograms, 3,675 pound, 1,318 kilograms, 2,906 pound, ist, unknown. Length 3.975 m, 13 feet 0.5 in. Diameter 610 millimeters, 24 in. Guidance. Type INS GPS aided INS. Warhead 950 XM74 bomblets 300 XM74 bomblets WAU-23/B unitary warhead. Warhead. Weight 591 kilograms, 1,303 pound, 174 kilograms, 384 pound, 214 kilograms, 472 pound. Fused M74 APAM bomblets each initiated by an M219A1E1 fused FMU-141/B point detonating fused remote, point detonating, proximity, and delay, fuse. Motor solid propellant rocket motor. Max speed Mach 3, 1000 m /s. 3,300 foot /s, unknown. Min range 25 kilometers, 16 mi, 70 kilometers, 43 mi. Max range 165 kilometers, 103 mi, 300 kilometers, 190 mi, 270 kilometers, 170 mi, 300 kilometers, 190 mi. Operation. The ATACMS was first used in combat in 1991. 32 were fired from the M270 MLRS during Operation Desert Storm. In 2003, more than 450 were fired in Operation Iraqi Freedom. As of early 2015, more than 560 ATACMS missiles had been used in combat. Starting from October 2023, Ukraine, using the earliest, short-ranged, versions of ATACMS during the Russian invasion of Ukraine, where these missiles threatened the Russian-occupied land corridor to Crimea in the southern part of Ukraine as well as the vast majority of the Russian-operated air bases at the north of occupied Crimea, which significantly complicated use of attack helicopters, previously based there, by Russia against Ukrainian targets. Starting from the 19th of February, 2024, there were rumors about possible near-future use of later, longer-ranged, versions of ATACMS by Ukraine, which in 2 months were proven correct, when an ATACMS missile attack to the Russian-occupied Zhukoy air base, which was positioned much further from nearest Ukraine-controlled territory than earliest version of ATACMS strike range, resulting in 6 main explosions and several reported secondary explosions, and was officially confirmed within a week, when US officials revealed Ukraine already received and deployed the missiles to a combat-ready status a month ago. On June 23, 2024, an incident happened during an attack on Sevastopol, where Russian air defense missiles were fired at multiple ATACMS missiles, resulting in explosions that caused 2 to 4 dead and more 150 injured people on Uchkiivka beach, where locals reported that no air raid warning had taken place and therefore people on the beach were not able to evacuate. UVS